Mr Malarkey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Legico can delay stuff coming out of Keys, but it can't block it. It has a chance of delay, and it has done in the past. Obviously, we've got a very emotive bill going through at the moment, which is the abortion bill, and I'm quite confident by the time it gets to Legico, it'll be fit for purpose and right. I want to know what your views are with regard, would you have a problem with an abortion bill as it went through Legico?
So, views on the abortion bill. First on this one, Mr Hardy.
Obviously, it's a very prominent situation at this minute in time in the Isle of Man. There are a lot of things going on. It has been very much raised in the public awareness. Don't really agree with the methods, but it's definitely put it centre stage in terms of people talking about it and being aware of it, because it is such an important thing. Fundamentally, it is going to land in whoever is in MLC's lap pretty much straight away. So again, you're high profile there. My personal views on this are, fundamentally, nobody knows that situation better than the lady who was involved. I think that the background as to how she became pregnant, the life that she potentially might have in terms of bringing something forward or a child forward or however it's going to work, I think the only person who is in a position to make that decision is the lady, and I think that we must respect that in terms of empowering ladies and moving forward. That is where we need to go. I think it is a hugely important thing. I do agree with the cooling off period because it's a massive decision that has to be made. So from my point of view, there should be time to reflect upon it, because it is the most important thing that they potentially are going to decide, and it's something that has a huge amount of gravitas. So from my point of view, that's where I stand. I understand that it's a very difficult and emotive subject, and it's not something that I think that we should shy away from. I understand that potentially you were saying the ability of Legico to delay things. Again, I don't think that's a bad thing with regards to taking the time to reflect upon things, because this is hugely important. But I think as it stands at the minute in time, fundamentally, it is a good piece of work, and I think it is correct.
Thank you. Mr Cartledge.
Thank you. I knew this would come up, and it was one of the biggest decisions that I had to grapple with as to whether I sought a nomination. Absolutely believe in the right to life, but equally I believe that somebody should have the rights over their own body. And what actually swayed me was the campaign from people off island onto our island, and I thought, what right have they got to come and tell us what to do? And so then I got to the point of saying, well, what right do I have to start telling people, ladies in particular, what right do I have to make a decision which is their decision? So yes, I am supportive of the bill. Yes, I would delay it if I thought it was wrong, or I thought there was amendments needed. I'm following it very closely, and I think we should all place on record everybody who has supported the bill that's taken the flak, to put it mildly, for their support for it.
Thank you. Mrs Sharpe.
Well, to answer your question, I am fully supportive of the bill. I realise that at the moment the two main areas that there's been a lot of debate over are in weeks 15 to 23 of a pregnancy, where the bill mentions that an abortion could take place if there's significant mental or physical impairment to the fetus, or if the woman and the doctor involved feels that there are serious social grounds, and that in this way the bill is a lot more open than the UK bill. However, I've thought long and hard about this, particularly as someone who's married to a man who is blind with an inherited form of macular degeneration. But I think that it's not the job of the bill to list what the bill believes are serious social grounds, or what counts as a significant mental or physical impairment. I think from now onwards it's to do with changing people's perceptions in society towards people with disabilities, and making it an environment where women don't feel that they might have to have an abortion because their fetus has an impairment. So it's not for the bill to sort of set out these things. So I'm fully supportive of the bill as it is, apart from, as I mentioned, one subsection where I think perhaps disabled people could be referred to as people with impairments.
Mrs. Poole-Wilson.
I happen to agree with Mr Malarkey that the process that is going on in the House of Keys at the moment is the House of Keys absolutely at its best. The Committee of the Whole House engaging in taking evidence, fully engaging in looking at the detail of the bill and thinking about, getting the best bill that we possibly can to reflect, I think, that the consensus view that we do need to modernise our abortion law. We do need to recognise that women do need to have, this is a healthcare issue. So from the perspective of Legislative Council, I hope that Mr Malarkey is right. At the point that the bill arrives at Legislative Council, so much of that consideration of the evidence, debate on the detail will have happened and happened in a very public way. And the bill that arrives at Legislative Council should, Legislative Council should be in the almost incredibly privileged position of being able to cast a second set of eyes on that bill. And rather than try and overturn the work that the Keys has done, it would be much more to make sure that the efficacy of what has been done really hits the spot. I mean, one of the things that came up, I think, the other week in the Keys was the issue about terminations after 24 weeks, and it will have to be on all fours with the system that operates in the UK. So if there were issues like that, I don't believe that would still be outstanding, but if there were issues like that, I think Legislative Council absolutely has a responsibility to scrutinise properly and suggest amendments, but not to overturn the good work that the Keys is engaged in at the moment. And I'm very supportive of the bill.
Thank you. Mrs. Chambers.
Yes, but being at the end means that I just keep saying I fully endorse what James has just said. Actually, I think that this is a bill that has been dealt with great compassion in the public arena. We've all been following it very closely, and I think that nearly every intricate detail of it has been looked at by the House and by the public and commented on very widely. I'm very much in favour of women having control of their own destiny, as long as we are taking care of their safety. And the obviously the little bit that has been very interesting for me is how we put in place counselling support, and I think that's been dealt with very compassionately and will be there for those who want to make use of it. And yes, I am fully supportive of the bill and hope that by the time it gets to Legco, it will be a bill that's ready to go.
Councillor Skinner.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Yes, I would support the bill, but I wouldn't like to see it used as a means of contraception, and I know that's the view held by a number of members. As you said, it should be fit for purpose by the time it gets to Legislative Council, but I believe as a listener that you made absolutely the right choice by having the facility now to move into committee within the Keys. I think that was a really beneficial move and answered a lot of questions that you could all see the answers rather than getting third-hand information. But there is, as I see, and I'm sure it's been taken into account, we talk about ageing parents, our ageing parents. I know that there are a number of older parents now who have children late in life, and one of their concerns is that should they have a disabled or a handicapped child, who will look after this child in years to come? And that is one of the reasons I know of a couple why they've been and had an abortion, and it was purely because if that child was left on its own without parents, who would look after that child, what effect it would have on that child, and it would be left to the state to look after it.
Thank you. Mr. Ramsay.
Yes, I have no problem with the bill, and I agree that after the extremely thorough consideration that the House will have given it by the time it gets to Legco, the Council would find it very difficult indeed to propose any changes of substance other than just refining some of the detail.
Thank you. Mrs. Hendy.
Yes, the legislation that's in place currently is very much out of date, and I'm generally supportive of the bill. I've been watching the movement on the clauses and the fine-tuning that's probably going to come back and redrafting. I'm a Christian, and I've been actually comforted by a letter that Monsignor John Devine wrote to the Chief Minister, and he put it in such an eloquent way, and his words were that if it gets to an abortion, it's an act of desperation, and that reflects really the lack of choice that a woman has at the moment. And I think the legislation has got to be fit for purpose, and as has been said, it should have been subject to such a level of scrutiny in the Keys that by the time it gets to LegCo, we would hopefully not find anything remiss about the Act as it stands then. So I will be supportive of it. It's a difficult decision, but much needed, and much needed for our young women.